pessoal, iniciando nossa série de entrevistas aqui na Comic Con Experience 2018. Estou ao lado de Scott Lobdell, grande autor de quadrinhos. First of all, Mr. Lobdell, it's an honor to interview you.
Well, thank you. It was an honor to be interviewed.
As an X-Men fan that grew up reading comics in the 90s, I would like to know which was the saga that you liked the most, because you wrote.
Wow, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Attraction and Onslaught. You made part of almost all of it.
Yeah, probably. I'd say it's a toss-up between Age of Apocalypse, which was huge, and then also Operation Zero Tolerance, where it was Bobby's first try at leadership. So that was kind of it's a smaller, intimate story, and it involved characters like Sabra and Cecilia Reyes and Marrow, and it was just kind of I always think the X-Men are at their best when they're changing, and so that was kind of my attempt to bring them into another era, and it did not last long, but I think it's one of my favorite little runs.
And during the 90s, the X-Men were maybe the most popular comic book.
What's the most popular comic book now?
It's X-Men again.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what about Red Hood and the Outlaws? No?
It's very good, actually.
Okay, good, okay.
You don't sell like the X-Men.
No.
It was also a little bit confusing for new readers, because you have a lot of time travels and family issues. And how do you writers, talked about that? Because it was a lot of, how do you manage that?
Well, I try, my rule always was that even with a big crossover, even if it was like a 16-part crossover, I just felt it was my responsibility to make those 22 pages their own story. So long as you picked up an issue, it may have been part of a bigger storyline, but the idea was to write stories that stood as existing issues. Like, I don't know if you remember this isn't the best example of it, but the camping issue where Cyclops went camping with his father.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history there, but if you read the issue, it's really just about a father and son going on a camping trip, and father realizing there's so much more he didn't know about his kid.
It's the one after Cyclops come back from the dead.
Was it? Yeah. How many times has he come back from the dead now?
I believe it's the third one right now.
Okay,
but that time
was the first one?
Okay,
yeah. So that's the thing is that while there's a lot of history prior to that story, you could read that story, I think, even today, and still read it as the story about a father and son going camping. So
that's a very good story, actually.
So I think that's that was the trick to you can't keep everything straight, because you couldn't really expect readers to, unless they were very wealthy, to be able to buy everything. So and then you'd have to take the time to actually read everything, which takes a while. So
and now you have a work in the Red Hood, right? And you have a more like you have a lot of humor in the title. And the 90s, where you wrote the X-Men, were a decade that people remember as very gritty and dark,
it's funny that I've heard that, but I don't think I was ever. Tomorrow you can go through a bunch of comic books, and I don't think I ever did. I can do gritty, but I don't think any of my stuff was gritty.
Here in Brazil, this impression is a lot more because we didn't bought like one issue. We have the 4 or 5 stories in one issue. That's the way the economy made the comic book. So your stories were in the middle of a lot of things during the 90s. It was the image explosion. So people associate with this.
I always said that my issues were more of the rooftop issues. The issues where something big would happen, and then the next issue, Rogue and Gambit would be on a rooftop together talking about their feelings. And so I tried to do the smaller, intimate stories, and probably I could do that because there were so many other big things around me happening that allowed me to focus. But yeah, I don't know. I understand that people think of sometimes people will try to insult my work, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's so extreme. It's like extreme, like Extreme Studios." And I had nothing to do with Rob as much as I love him as a person. I didn't have anything to do with that era.
Yeah.
So it's funny when people associate me with it, because I'm really, it was no for me.
And final question, is it your first time here in Brazil?
Yes, it is.
And what are you thinking about? This is a comic book in Brazil. It's the biggest event of the year.
So far, for Wednesday, I've been to conventions where I've already seen more people at this convention than I've seen at other conventions over the course of the weekend. So, and if you notice, I have the best translator ever right here working.
Hello.
There she is. So that helps a lot.
So we want to thank you, Mr. Lobdell. It's an honor for me as a fan from the X-Men in the 90s. So to interview you is such an honor.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
much.
you so much.